Hello, you lovely people. This is Jules Madison Art, and in this video I will share with you how to create this beautiful beach scene with real sand and real shells from the Caribbean, or the Caribbean as the Americans say. Hello everybody, let me close the door because I'm watching CNN, and sorry, I get kind of addicted to the news. Okay, so I am going to do a resin beach scene for you, and I don't know, maybe some of you know, but I live part-time in Turks and Caicos, and I have, and those of you who know Turks and Caicos, this is sand from Boogaloo's wonderful restaurant. This is sand from our beach at Turtle Cove, and this is Grace Bay sand outside 7 Stars Hotel, and they're all really different. Ours is a little more granular because it's a beach that, you know, doesn't get a lot of traffic. It's very quiet. 7 Stars is much smoother because it's like a touristy part of Grace Bay Beach, and Boogaloo's is really chalky and the sand is like talcum powder. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the beach sand from 7 Stars, and we are going to mix this in a cup. Sorry, I'm still battling with my broken wrist, so I'll try to do it this way around so I don't block the camera. I am going to put some sand in here. That should be enough for what I'm planning on doing. Then I am going to put some Elmer's glue in this. And mix this in. Kind of just have to gauge it. You don't want it too runny. It needs some more. That's good. It's probably a little too much glue, but that's fine. It dries clear. Okay, I'm going to put that aside for now. I'm going to raise up my little board on some little small cups. And before I do anything else, I am just going to paint on just some blue background, because when I come to do the resin, if there are any, you know, gaps, or the resin might be not as opaque, it might be a little more translucent, this will kind of hide some indiscretions, let's put it that way. So that's fine. And I'm just going to get one of these and spread this around again, it really doesn't, this point doesn't have to be neat and tidy because all of this is just going to be hidden. What I want to do is just cover up the white. This board is actually, I got it from Home Depot, and it's siding. Oh, I have, darn it, I have silicone in here and it's selling. Never mind, that's fine. It is siding for a house, and I bought this gigantic piece that only cost me like, I don't know, $17 or something, or $18. And I got them to cut it into lots of, I'm going to do it this way because I know I'm blocking your vision. I got them to cut it into lots of different sizes. And the reason I like doing resin on this, apart from the fact that it's white, it is so light, and I normally use MDF, and MDF, when you put resin on it, and especially, I don't know if you're like me if you use resin, but I tend to do at least 2 coats of resin, and I normally like to finish it with, you know, a final clear layer. And by the time I've done that, MDF's heavy before you put anything on it, and then it just weighs a ton. Okay, so that's fine. I think I'm going to add a little bit more sand to this, which is going to be my beach. Yes, this is better. Little, I don't know if you can see that. I'll just bring that up to you. So this is going to be the beach. I'm just going to pour it down here and spread it out. Oops, it's a little mind of its own here. Stop. Control yourself, sand. There. So I'm gonna spread this out in, ooh, I do not want paint on it. That's not good. Cover that up. Okay, so I'm just gonna spread this out. And when this is dry and the paint is dry, I'm gonna come back and do a beautiful beachy, ignore that paint on there, it's not there, it's not there, it didn't happen. See, that's the thing about art. Don't get too stressed about your mistakes, because sometimes the best things happen because you made a mistake. Promise you, it's true. Being an artist for many years, and believe me, oh, see, what that's telling me is my beach needs to be a little higher up than it is. So that's what we will do. We will make the beach a little more uneven, which is kind of how beaches are. They're not all perfect, so I'm going to put this here. I like that. Okay, so the other thing that I have from Providenciales in the Turks and Caicos Islands, which I got at Boogaloo's, was these gorgeous tiny little shells, and they're so cute. They're like little tiny tiny, tiny, I don't know if you can see that, tiny baby conch. So I collected those. I had to like sift them through. Then I have like kind of sand and gritty stuff. And then here, this was pieces of broken coral that I picked up. So I'm just gonna like scatter some of these on the sand. And some little shells. Covering up my mistakes, if you notice, but that's fine because it's an abstract. It is a representation. It's not a literal, it's not a photograph. I'm going back to Turks in a few weeks. I can't wait. Gather some more shells from boogaloos. Right, so I'm just going to let all of this dry, and then we will come back and turn this into a gorgeous resin beach painting. Can't wait. See you later. So I left it alone a couple of hours. I just got back from playing tennis and it's not dry yet for me to do the resin, but I wanted to just show you what's happening with it. The wet sand and the glue has seeped into the paint and it looks fantastic. It almost looks like the ocean. So I think the white will probably disappear because that's the Elmer's glue and it dries clear. But by putting the sand on when it's wet with the background paint, you get a really nice kind of flat transition between the sand and the water. Another one I have made, which I will quickly show you, is this one. Let me lie it down. Oh, this is a big one. This was another one I made. This is 23 inches in diameter. And you can see how pretty the resin is, and there's more stones and shells from boogaloos, and the resin is beautifully rich. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm hoping to achieve that on a smaller scale with my other board. This I also painted the background before I added tinted resin. So tomorrow, once the paint is dry and the sand is dry, we will carry on and resin the beach. Now I am at the next stage of the beach resin painting. The sand has dried, the background underpainting has dried, and I'm going to mix the resin in a minute. And again, I am using art resin. It arrived. Oh, and we're gonna have a little ceremony now. Say goodbye to my dead gun. Hello, new gun. Bye. See ya. The pigments I'm going to use to color the resin are from Primary Elements. They're mineral powders. They're very, very rich in color. Now, some of them don't mix well with resin, so you have to mix them with something else before you add the resin. And I'm going to use a tiny bit of Floetrol. get the lid off. Floetrol. Just to turn it from a powder to a liquid. What you can see, but also these powders have just such beautiful shimmers. Okay, now if I just mixed this powder with resin, it would be gritty and the powder just kind of floats in the resin. So I've learned, again, through my mistakes, you only learn from mistakes, that if I turn it into some kind of liquid, then it will be successful. The other colors I'm going to use are Stargazer by Primary Elements, biting my tongue, Blue Hue, that's going to be my mid-tone, and Teal, Zircon. And lastly, I just have some tiny bit of white acrylic paint. That's going to be the surf. Let me mix those and we'll get going. All the resin is mixed with the pigments. The reason I like to use acrylic paint in some of them is just because it makes it a more solid color, particularly when it's white. So I'm going to begin with the darkest color and move down to the beach. I'm glad you didn't see me mix my resin because I made a huge fat mess and said some bad words. It's a dark blue. I'm going to blend them, and it looks a mess in the beginning, but it all blends and works out in the end, and you'll see what I mean. I'm going to have this very pretty light blue bottom, which I'm also going to mix actually with everything because it ties all the colors together. And I'm going to tip it first. I've also taped the back, and I'm actually trying out Gorilla Tape, but I had a flash thought that I was trying to fix one of the hoses into the garden to water the plants, and I used this waterproof tape so that it doesn't get leaks, and I thought, oh, I'm going to try that as a masking tape, because sometimes, like, I don't find painter's tape works for me at all, personally. I just don't. Okay, I'm going to add some more dark blue here. And some white at the shore. And just like put a few little random white bits in there because that's what the ocean does. And a little more light blue right at the shoreline. And some more turquoise. And mid-tone. Okay, so now I'm going to use my heat gun, which will make the resin a lot more fluid and pop the air bubbles. I've also saved some clear resin because right at the end, if you put that on the shoreline, it looks a lot more like water. So here is my heat gun. I'm going to take off my nozzle if I can. Oh, no, I don't think I can. Nope, okay, it's going to stay on there. No, I really want to take that off. Come off. And my broken wrist, or my kind of healed broken wrist that needs another surgery, does not help me right now. Okay, so let's do this. I have that attachment on because I use it for getting resin drops off the back of other things. Okay, I'm going to tilt this way, and then I'm going to tilt it back a ways. Now look, oh, look at that. That's so pretty. Look at that over the sand. And then here's my new torch. Some air bubbles with that. I'm going to put some more dark blue here. And I'm going to get a straw and I'm going to blow on this to get a better transition. Looking a lot better, and I am now going to add some clear resin just at the shoreline because I really want it to give like the effect of water. Actually, also, when you add clear resin to the rest of it, it does help it blend a little bit better together. Helps it mix and makes it more fluid. You can see the lines that are being made in it. I am going to take my glove off because I don't want to mess up my brand new torch. This torch, by the way, was only $11 on Amazon, and I will put a link to my Amazon suggested supplies for artists and crafters, and also there's a link below this video to my Etsy store and my own website. And I hope you enjoyed this. I'm happy the way this has turned out. I think it's very pretty. It kind of reminds me of definitely the ocean, looking out of an aeroplane as you're approaching the Caribbean. and I love the sand. This is just a beautiful abstract beach painting. So I hope you enjoyed this, and don't forget to hit subscribe. See you next time. Bye peeps. I'm going to give you a little close-up of the beach resin painting that I just made. Here is the shoreline. I was debating whether to spray some alcohol in it to get some cells, but I think the heat gun and the white mixed with the light blue and the teal just made it look very ocean-like. And these are the gorgeous little shells that I picked at Boogaloo's back up to the ocean. That beautiful, beautiful, rich blue. So happy artist and happy creating, everybody.